Aloha! Hey, it's Julie Ziemelis and Amber Haley with Brokers, and I'm with Keller Williams, and we are the 365 group, and this is your monthly market update for East Hawaii, and we're going to be discussing numbers from October as we give you your November update. And Amber has all the numbers and the stats for you and the people who are joining us live on Facebook. If you have questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat because our wonderful team partner, Eric Ziemelis, also of Keller Williams, is right there answering the questions or giving us those questions to look at. So, Amber, let's go into what are you seeing in East Hawaii?
All right, East Hawaii. So it is November. I can hardly believe that. So I was taking a look at the numbers to get ready for our show today for all the sales through October this year. It's kind of a crazy time to be in real estate. There's a lot of agents were kind of chuckling with each other about how buyers think that it's 2008 right now. They're like waiting to get these like crazy good deals, and sellers still think it's 2021 and they can like price really crazy. So everyone's kind of waiting to see what will happen. So we'll go over the numbers, the stats, and then kind of more importantly, maybe talk a little bit about like what that means. Because what you guys all really just probably want to know is, are prices going up or down?
Right. And speaking of what she just said, Amber brings up a very interesting experience what's happening in the market. My guy who does real-time statistics for the whole country, Altus Research, he said last week in a webinar, the housing market is at a standstill because buyers are waiting for the market to drop out, and the sellers are like not willing to drop their prices, so nobody's moving. So at this point, nothing's happening, which is like one of the more weird markets the country's ever seen at this point.
It's a weird market. I don't think we've seen anything like the last few years. And I still feel like I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. But as far as our numbers go, let's talk East Hawaii. So if you're new to the East Hawaii market, we mostly focus on the South Hilo district and the Puna district. And those are lava zones 1, 2, and 3. So South Hilo is lava zone 3. So property values are a little bit higher. So if we take a look at our median sales price through October, we are sitting at about, we are at 505 for South Hilo district. So that's like where the Hilo Bayfront is and all of those neighborhoods and communities around Hilo proper. So that is still an increase from last year. We have not seen prices go down. So we are in an increase of 4.77% from where we were in October of 2021. So a little bit of an increase still. Yeah. Now, when we go down to the Puna district, that's where we see a much bigger increase than Hilo right now. So the median price through sales through October for this year were $375,000.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty good for a house in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But the Puna district is where we do have the lava zones 1 and 2. So the home prices in 1 and 2 are going to be a little bit lower. And then lava zone 3, they're going to be a little bit higher. So some of those big popular neighborhoods like Hawaiian Paradise Park, that's in lava zone 3. A newer construction there is going to be on the higher end, and lava zones 1 and 2. So popular neighborhoods like Nanavale Estates or Leilani Estates, where the eruption happened, that's lava zone 1. They're going to be a lot lower, but we are still seeing an active market. Things are slowing down, but that's kind of normal for this time of year.
Yep. Right before the holidays, when people start figuring out when they're going to come.
Yes.
So real quick, I know I should have you pull these numbers specifically because HPP is such a big neighborhood.
Yes.
To find out what's like the median price in there. Now I know that there's a lot of different house styles in HPP, but in general, they were like $250, let's say, 2 years ago, and now they're...
Let's see. Okay, so I first started doing real estate in the state of Hawaii at the beginning of 2019. And I would say, and like you said, the houses are very different. So if you're watching and you're from a different part of the country where, maybe neighborhoods, all the houses look exactly the same, and you can kind of say, oh, this neighborhood, your price will be in the 200s or 300s or 400s. In a lot of the Big Island, and particularly over in East Hawaii, the houses aren't really comparable necessarily to each other. We have really, really, really nice houses, and we have some less nice houses that
right
have
next to each other.
That have no county permits and, like a parking lot of parked cars and all of this strange stuff. So and then everything in between. We have everything in between too. So we kind of speak a little more generally, take it all with a grain of salt, because there's going to be nicer houses and less nice houses, and nicer blocks and less nice blocks. But when I first started, so let's say January 2019, it was pretty eyebrow raising for me to see anything close to 400,000 in Hawaiian Paradise Park. If there was a brand new construction listed over 4, that was it felt very high. And I work very actively in that market, so I see probably a lot of the homes that come on the market I end up seeing in person. Now, new construction in HPP, which on average is about a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, probably something around 1,400 square feet. That's very easily listed in the 500,000 or 600,000, kind of just depending on how more or less custom and builder grade it is. So that's quite a bit higher than, not that many, just a few years ago. Yeah. So maybe next month I'll pull just the stats of that neighborhood, because it is becoming really
are
popular.
getting people who are saying, boy, I would like to live in a less expensive place than Kona, but I don't want lava zone 1 and 2. So they're automatically using these words HPP, and I do think that a lot of them do believe that all the houses look the same. I don't think they realize that what you're looking at when you just see the listing, that this beautiful house, you don't look to see what's all around it.
Yes.
So, one of my things would be that if you see a house, do a Google pullback, right?
That's a really great tip. Yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of get a chance to see what else is going on around the space, right?
Yeah. You can get a really good idea from the Google satellite view. And then also, if you're somebody who's house hunting from home and you haven't connected with an agent yet, if you're at the place of maybe doing virtual showings, which is one of the services, that I offer and that became really popular during the pandemic when we were really locked down. But by a virtual showing, I basically mean your agent goes in and you can do a Zoom or a FaceTime or some other way to virtually video tour the property. Have your agent maybe walk around the block too, so you can see the neighboring homes. Because in HPP, I mean, even though the weather is kind of slightly different in different pockets, that's how big of a neighborhood it is and how specific different pockets are. But there's a lot of people who feel like really comfortable in a neighborhood like Hawaiian Paradise Park, a little bit more remote. A lot of the roads are gravel, a mix of different kinds of neighbors. And then there's some people who that's just not their vibe. So I think it's always best too if you can come out in person and
drive around
and see the block. But Puna District, where Hawaiian Paradise Park is, so we were saying the price point is $375. That's still 15% higher than the median price was in October last year. At the end of October. So we're still seeing an increase. We're seeing an increase from last month. We're seeing an increase from last year. So we haven't seen the prices go down. What's it like in West Hawaii or
actually, when Lance was talking to us last week, he said across the board prices are dropping 5%.
Yeah.
So as people are getting priced out, they're not being able to get those. And again, I personally think, and I don't have any stats on this one, the stock market fell apart.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people could have pulled money out of their stocks.
Yeah.
To throw out $1 million house here in Hawaii. And then when the stock market fell apart, I think that took a lot of retirement money out of the market as well. Because we get a lot of retirees, and all of a sudden they're going like this, the last thing I want to do right now is buy $1 million house in Kona. I'm going to pull back and see what happens with the stock market. So I think that we got that pullback, and now these more expensive homes are just sitting.
Yeah.
And so on your side, I'm getting phone calls from people saying, I'm not $1 million home buyer. I'm just trying to live in my house. If I can get something for $350,000 to $400,000, that's good enough for me. And I'm like, well, you can find $350,000 houses in East Hawaii. Yeah. And they're just scampering all over to your side of the island because people are still trying to find homes that they can buy that in new places where the weather looks good, that, they're trying to start a new community and that dream of living in Hawaii. And for them, I think, as long as they're on the island. Right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who they just want to get to the island, and East Hawaii is the most realistic way for them to do that. For some people, that means buying a more affordable house, like most of ours in East Hawaii are. That means that they maybe don't have to sell their other house that they're moving from just yet. So it makes it kind of like an easier gateway in. Or they just want to get some property here, get established here, maybe then decide, maybe then I'll go over to Kona, which is perhaps where they originally started their search.
Yeah. In fact, I've had 3 or 4 of our, what started off as 365 Kona newbies, get off the plane recently and head on over to East Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then I see the houses they've purchased. like the Ellenbergs. Mm-hmm. I still have to go visit them.
Beautiful.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
I have to say. And then Suzanne, who just come here too, she shows me her big old fat yard with all the landscaping. It's so beautiful. And this morning she was videotaping the sun rising from the cliffs.
Yes.
I'm like, what a life.
Yeah.
So, and then they got in there for less than, $700,000.
Yeah. That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So keep your mind open. If you are shopping in West Hawaii, maybe come check out East Hawaii, and then you can decide maybe in a few years if you do want to move over to West Hawaii or if East Hawaii is for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And so, and Amber's your person for East Hawaii. People sing her praises for referral. I refer her over to the people that come over here, and they love her services. And she is hardworking, responds to people, and she knows her area. That's so important in East Hawaii. Right?
Yes, yeah. And something else to kind of talk about that's been brought up by some of my buyers too when we kind of go over these numbers, because these numbers are important. Mm-hmm. But what I think is even more important is just like overall talking about our prices going up, our prices going down. Because that's what you guys really want to know, right? Are they going up or down? And
Are
what do you
we
need
crashing?
To offer?
Do I get 50% off my housing? Is there a bunch of foreclosures that I can throw some cash at and I get to get in for half off?
Yeah. So people want to know what they need to offer when they see a list price, right? So I'm still seeing people pricing kind of high, like I joked about. A lot of sellers, the buyers think it's 2008, the sellers think it's 2021. So they're still pricing high, and we are seeing price reductions. So when we talk about the numbers, like the list to sale price, which in East Hawaii is sitting at about 97%. So things are selling in general really close to list price still.
Okay.
But that is for those of you wondering, that is the list price, if they have price reduced.
Uh-huh. That's what they're getting for the price that it's reduced down to.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So that can be kind of a confusing number for some people. They're seeing things right when they hit the market that are maybe incorrectly priced.
Incorrectly priced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they call it, they have price corrections and price adjustments and a new and better price.
Yes, all the creative ways to say it. Price improvements.
Price improvement, that's it.
A positive spin on it. So say $1 million property was price improved to $900,000 and then sells for $875. Your list to sales price is $875 to the $900,000. Right. Not the million.
It's funny because Lance was talking about that too when he was doing some of the same statistics, and I didn't understand what he meant by that. And he said also, this is after they've brought the price down and then what it sells for. So yes, that can seem almost deceiving that 97% would make it seem that the market's not going down in terms of pricing, but that's not the case because it has to come down first and then it sells, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, that's also a generalization. That's another reason why it's really good to connect with an agent if you are not super familiar with East Hawaii and you're maybe not super familiar with the different areas that we've talked about, because there are a lot of nuances and those lava zones and county permits and all that kind of stuff. So some properties are priced really, really incorrectly. You can usually tell that still if it has a lot of days on market.
Yes.
Yeah. Like probably over 2 months on the market, it's probably not priced correctly.
Yeah, not to go off on a tangent like I do, Eric and I were talking about this, that by the time your house is sitting on the market for 2 months, you're probably not in the biggest hurry to sell your house, or you would have done something probably within the first 3 weeks of not finding a couple offers, right? Are you finding that some of these sellers are just like this, I'm going to take my price and I'm not going to move on this until I sell it?
Yeah, some sellers are like that, and we don't always know the seller's motivation when you're going in. So there are some sellers who are just going to be really firm on price, even if they've priced incorrectly. And I think especially because there is so much uncertainty in the real estate market right now. People are a little bit confused and waiting and holding off and seeing what happens. We're seeing kind of more of that too, on the seller's end, where they're like, well, this is the price I want. The market's been high. I'm just going to wait and see if I can get it. And I'm not, I don't need to sell right now.
Right. So that's going to be interesting when the sellers finally kind of shake themselves loose on their what's it called? The price needs to be improved experience. And if that's going to happen because something's going to happen in the market where they're going to say, now's the time to just get it off the market.
Yeah.
Right. And it'll be interesting then, are we going to get a bunch of inventory?
Yeah.
Because that would be great. Because then if we get a lot more inventory, then the buyers have even more room to kind of like ask for those kinds of things that they want to get their house. Right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what kind of inventory we get between now and March, because usually March in East Hawaii is when we see the most real estate sales.
Yeah.
Probably about this time is when we see the least. And with so much uncertainty and the holidays coming up, I think a lot of people are going to hold off just because of those two things too.
Well, I know
So.
we talked about this. That one thing that could happen, Mauna Loa.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about Mauna Loa.
Yeah. So we've had a couple more earthquakes lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking at the so there's been like 8,000 earthquakes in a year just in the last year, and then I think they've had 25 this month.
Wow.
So it's shaken, but it's and then when they say we're at yellow alert for Mauna Loa, but there still is not an imminent eruption.
I haven't heard anything about an imminent eruption. And whenever I talk about the lava and volcanoes, I like to make it really clear to people that I'm not a volcanologist, and none of us know what's going to happen with the volcano. And anybody who tells you they know, they don't. Right. They're not being honest with you. But that being said, volcanic activity does really affect real estate here on the Big Island.
Amazing how that happens.
Yeah, it really affects us. I would say more on the east side, but with Mauna Loa, South Kona is definitely probably the number one spot that it could affect. So down in Ocean View area. Yeah. Also, it affects your air quality, I guess, over here.
Yeah, over here in Kona, yeah. It's right now is a beautiful blue day, and when we had Kilauea going off in 2018, it wasn't pretty. Yeah,
there was a lot of VOG. So if that's not a term that you're familiar with, if anybody's watching who's new to Big Island real estate, maybe look up VOG, V-O-G, and see if that's something that you can live with, because we have that on and off. Yeah. What I will say about East Hawaii, though, is we do have better air quality. All the VOG, even when the eruption is happening on Kilauea, which is our volcano over there, all of that air usually goes around down south and then up to the Kona side, so we have really clean air, even if the lava's a few miles away.
It's like they're having these eruptions, and then you go there and the wind always blows east to west across the island, and so it could be like, it could be like happening like right here, like at Volcanoes National Park. It never hits Hilo.
It never
and HPP and those things. It just goes like this, la la la, and just like bugs us over on our side. So, but the Mauna Loa experience, right? Mauna Loa takes up 50% of our entire island.
Wow.
So and then if you look at all the different places where it's erupted in the past, it's all over the place.
Yeah, that's the thing about Mauna Loa. If anyone's looking at a map right now, I mean, the eruption could flow down toward South Kona. It could flow toward Hilo. I believe in the 80s, and I'm not going to say the exact year because I'll say it wrong, probably.
Probably 84.
Probably around 84, the volcano almost went all the way, like it was heading toward Hilo Bayfront. So that's something that could really affect our market in Hilo, just like it could affect the market over in South Kona. Although, to be honest, and when there's any kind of big volcanic activity, it affects tourism and the real estate market island-wide.
Yeah, because then people go, wait, living on an active volcano?
Yeah.
But that's also a good time to get discounted real estate.
Oh, there were people giving away property in 2018. Yeah, they were trying to sell really, really low because there was so much uncertainty. And what we saw happen in 2018 that we could see happen again with Mauna Loa is lenders not lending so much in lava zones 1 and 2. It's already hard, but they could just stop. And then insurance providers stopped issuing those lava zone 2 policies that you can now get, but they stopped issuing those. So those are the two main ways that it could affect the market. I mean, also prices.
Yes. And again, it matters, where is it menacing the island. But okay, then also, speaking of Puna, the Mauna Loa is not on the East Rift Zone. So it probably is not going to affect what happened during the Leilani Estates experience. So at least the people who have to deal with that the first time probably are not going to get it again, which is nice.
It will probably
I know.
probably be a different set of communities on the island that are affected.
Yeah.
And as far as East Hawaii goes, probably just Hilo is the main place to
interesting.
be.
Yeah, because it's actually in 1888 when Queen Ruth, she went up to the lava and she said, "Stop." for the name of Pele, stop. And it stopped.
Wow.
And so it stopped coming into Hilo. And then the 1984 one, it came down Kaimana Drive. That's what created some of those lava tubes.
Yeah.
And then it stopped.
Yeah.
So maybe Hilo is the blessed city.
Yeah.
So,
maybe we'll see. I mean, they are already dealing with tsunamis.
Yeah, let them have just one thing.
Let's just try and ease off on the lava.
Yeah.
But Hilo is such a beautiful place. But that is something to keep an eye on, no matter where you are house hunting, is Mauna Loa.
Yeah. And, I'm sure you guys will hear the news because they've already been talking about it in the mainland news streams. So, when we
They'll
hear
probably accidentally show a picture of Oahu. Like, have you noticed that on the national news? They just don't know the geography here in Hawaii. And it's always Oahu pictured in the background when they're talking about our eruptions on Big Island.
Yeah, and if you guys know that Diamond Head is very extinct, it's just a complete blown out shell of a volcano that's not Big Island. So then we've talked about the volcanoes, we've talked about the lava zones, we've talked about the pricing. Is there any outliers? What about open land? Can you tell us a little bit? Maybe people are buying land now?
Yes, there is a lot of people who are kind of looking at land. It's a pattern that I see a lot when there's uncertainty about buying a house, or like, ooh, I don't know if I want to sell my house on the mainland yet because the market has so drastically slowed in so many of the mainland markets. And so people are a little hesitant to make the leap right now, sell the house and try and buy here when there's uncertainty here and prices are staying high here. So when stuff like that happens, a lot of people kind of go back to the drawing board and think like, oh, maybe I'll invest in some land right now.
There we go. And just hang on to it.
Mm-hmm. Hang on to it, or maybe build on it, or kind of decide. So there is a lot of land for sale in East Hawaii. At a lot of different price points. Mm-hmm. We have seen land prices increase right along with home prices. Mm-hmm. So I know we were chatting before we went live about like $12,000 lots.
Yeah, because people call me, I hear that you can get land in Hawaii for $10,000. It's like, and you can. In a really strange, out of the way place you might not want to live.
Yes. Yeah. So even in the Puna district, which is the main district in East Hawaii that has a lot of land, you used to be able to buy a lot of different lots for $12,000. Mm-hmm. Not so much anymore, though. Yeah. Those $12,000 lots became $50,000 lots, mm-hmm. and $60,000 lots and $100,000 lots pretty quickly. So mm-hmm. I think most of that really, really, really cheap real estate is probably still down in South Kona, in Ocean View.
Yeah. Which is now in the middle of a very active lava zone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
Tammy says, East Side is pretty sweet. Of course, when you guys were talking about that.
Of course it is.
Thank you for the boots on the ground information sharing. You also helped in the group with Hawaii climate questions, and he really appreciated it.
Oh, that's
great.
nice.
It's not Hawaii, it's Javi.
Javi. Oh, that was that. We had a conversation about that. Yeah. We try and tell you guys the truth, but like even Amber will say that it's been kind of dry. Not maybe now. You guys seem to have gotten more water, but for a while it looked like East Hawaii was looking like Kona, and Kona was looking like East Hawaii.
It's so crazy. It was like for a couple months, I feel like every time I came over, it was so wet over here and then so dry back at home. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you guys a little short story about life on the Big Island for me in East Hawaii as a homeowner. Not to scare you guys away, but just to kind of chuckle. So I live in one of those houses with water catchment. Are you guys on county water at your place here?
Yes. I won't have catchment.
Okay.
I just won't.
She won't have catchment. People have strong feelings about catchment. I'm on water catchment, and I love my water catchment.
Okay.
However, I had a little bit of an issue with my water catchment tank. And all the water drained. Long story short, all the water drained.
This is one reason I won't have catchment. I really like my water. I do.
And that's where I get all my water from, is rainwater catchment. And then we had a really dry spell, which is super unusual for us, mm-hmm. for like weeks. And all of the water delivery services were, of course, booked up because people were running out of water. I would never run out of water at my house. I have a huge catchment tank if it wouldn't have drained. But anyway, the irony was I kept coming over to Kona, pouring buckets in Kona. I would go home to my empty water catchment. For like 3 weeks, I had almost no water. I was like, water, like turning up, in East Hawaii, I never have to worry about water. That was my favorite thing about relocating from California. That's constantly in a drought, to just being able to use so much water. But I ran out of water.
You really did.
It happens. It happens.
So you have to go and buy a bunch of like gallon jugs to try.
I have really good neighbors, fortunately. So yeah, I had gallon jugs. I just had a lot more dirty dishes than I normally do.
Oh,
and
gosh.
yeah, it was funny. But don't be afraid. There are services if you do buy a place with water catchment and you run out of water that you can get it delivered.
But that's okay. So speaking of, and now we're gonna go off into like East Side living. I don't think a lot of people understand truly life on catchment, solar. I mean, East Hawaii is rural.
It is rural. It is the country. Some people call it the sticks. It's really different for a lot of people. It's kind of like moving to a different country, depending on where you're coming from. But if you're coming from a city on the mainland to East Hawaii, here are some things you might need to get used to. Having a cesspool, which most properties do have, but if you're coming from the mainland, that might be like, cesspool? What?
Yeah,
What
and then they might make you turn into a septic tank at some point.
Yes, at some point down the road. A water catchment. There are some neighborhoods with county water, but it's very common to have a well or water catchment. There's a lot of off-grid property, so that is just a whole new world. I've never personally lived fully off-grid, but I do have a lot of clients and neighbors who do, and that is its own beast. That's not for everybody.
Right, yeah. You have to really be careful about kilowatt hours and understanding all the equipment. You know, it's a deal. We actually, one of my buyers wanted to go see a home in East Hawaii, and I showed it to her, and then we opened up the little cabinet of all the stuff that holds all the, the array of all the stuff you have to do with solar panels and everything.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And if that stuff goes out, you better be Johnny on the spot and fixing it because now you have no power.
Yeah, you definitely need a generator if you're living off grid.
Yep.
I mean, they're the ones that are happy though when the power goes out during a tropical storm because they usually have power and the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a hassle. But there's a lot of off grid properties. A lot of places, homes you might look at, you can't get things like pizza delivered. You
can't
don't
get an Uber.
You cannot get an Uber where I live, you guys. Like
they will not come that far.
They will, but like you're not gonna get one. They will, but never count on one. If you need to get to the airport, you better have a ride set up. You don't get a mailbox necessarily, depending on where you live. The post office won't deliver, or they won't deliver to your house.
And there's a shortage of post office boxes.
Yes. I waited 2 years to get a P.O. box.
Okay, I mean, you guys, this is like real stuff that's happening there.
Yeah. I haul my own trash. That's normal for a lot of the island. But again, if you're coming from the mainland, that might be shocking to you.
Yeah, that you have to go find yourself a transfer station and dump your trash.
Yeah, and we get a lot of sun, but we get a lot of rain, and we have microclimates, like I said. So that's something that might take getting used to. You can drive 15 minutes and be in a totally different climate here on the Big Island that you weren't expecting in Hawaii. So
yeah. In fact, in Hawaii, another thing is when it gets rainy and where we are, the clouds come up and over Hualalai, and then they dump right next to the slopes of Hualalai. But as soon as Hualalai kind of like it starts to go this way, which is down near the Four Seasons, and Hualalai. That's the reason why there's a resort there.
Yes,
because it's sunny all the time, and then it goes out into the lava field where there's it's all sunny all the way to Waikoloa, and then the wind starts to blow. Yeah. So she's right. Every 10 miles, you get a different microclimate.
Yeah, and people just, I think, don't always expect that. If they've never been to Big Island. And there's a lot of people relocating here now that have never been to Big Island. I'm still seeing that.
Some people are saying, where's the cheapest place to live in America? Puna. And then they go, I guess I'll go there. Yeah. And then it's like, ho. There's a whole living thing here. And, Eric and I have just, gotten a chance to talk to people who are literally shocked. Yeah. And how people, it's just how life is in East Hawaii. And so, Amber and I were talking about doing more videos and lifestyle videos. And I don't know if you ever have plans to just kind of videotape some of the neighborhoods and things like that so people can see Orchid Land Estates and Nanawali and the HPP. And there's so many different places that you can live, their neighborhoods, that you can get a feel for it at least through video.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if you guys want to see specific videos about more lifestyle things, about more East Hawaii neighborhoods. Let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, because she's really good with video and social media and marketing, and so she'd be a great person to do that. And Amber also, because she lives there, where the neighborhood to really kind of capture are.
Yeah. And if anybody ever just wants to have a Zoom and just talk about the vibes of East Hawaii or anything, I really, really do love it over there. I do real estate in other parts of the island, but almost all over there. So it kind of is, it's definitely where I specialize in. I am one of those people that really thrives there. I also really feel like a Kona side person too, which I would say most people are kind of in one category or the other. So don't let me sway you toward East Hawaii, because I love living there and I thrive there, and I know not everybody will. But hopefully I can give you an idea of what it's like there, and then you can come out, come meet me, come hang out, and see if it's for you. It might be a fit, and it's a wonderful place to live, and it's still affordable.
Yeah,
the last frontier, you guys.
Last frontier
Of affordable Hawaii real
and
estate.
also, don't just take it from Amber and myself. We have the 365 Hilo Newbies group, and if you want to ask questions of the people who actually live here, that group is really good, and those people in that community will make sure that, at least you get a chance to hear a little bit more of the other, the side of living there for real. Watching my friends who just moved there and posting their photos on Facebook. You know what? They don't take pictures of their catchment tanks. No. They take pictures of their beautiful surroundings in their yard, and they're happier than hell because they're gardening now and they've got plenty of space around them. So there's the whole thing. But I also got to tell you that there's a person that went into that group, and they posted an interesting thing about how they didn't like the way that people drove in Hawaii, the Aloha driving experience. And so we're doing a video on that about driving with Aloha.
Oh, I can't wait to check that
Because
out.
we started talking about that in all of our groups, and everybody had an opinion.
Dozens
And dozens of comments about what's it like to drive with Aloha, and how it in of itself can almost be dangerous when people just stop in the middle of the highway to let their auntie in, and how that could be a problem. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more about Hawaii, wait for our next video, driving with Aloha.
Nice. Can't wait to see that.
And is there any other questions?
I've got just a couple of things. Matt says Moab doesn't have Uber or Lyft either.
Okay. You can ride your mountain bike.
And Tammy says, yay, 365 newbies.
There you go.
Yay.
Yeah, and so Tammy helps moderate that group with me. In fact, we're going to be doing a meetup this Saturday with the Hilo group, and it'll be fun. And also, there's a Veterans Day parade going on.
There is on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to be trying to put on our meetup around the same time that the parade's going on. So Tammy told me to get there early.
Oh, okay. And so thank you to all of our veterans also this week. We appreciate you.
Yep.
And, you've made our lives better.
Yep. And with that, we will see you guys next month. We're going to be doing the first week in December. So check it in Wednesday, first week in December. I don't have the date on that one, but, Amber helps me doing this every month on a Wednesday. So you guys, thanks for joining us. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm going to drop information down below about how you can get hold of Amber and some more resources for life in East Side. Okay?
Aloha.
Aloha.